In this video, I would like to explain how to calculate the interest payment and new loan balance when you make a large purchase. Could be an expensive car or house or a boat, anything which costs a lot of money. And often we don't have that much money to pay in cash, which means with your check or cash. And we have to borrow money from um, financial institution, which usually is a bank. So let's take this example. To help purchase his new minivan, Deshaun is taking out $19,000 loan for 6 years at 6.5% annual interest. His monthly payment for this loan is 319.39. Fill in the blanks in the amortization schedule for the loan. Assume that each month is 1/12 of year. Round to answer nearest cent. So let's start from this part because sometimes students don't know how far they need to round. So we do not um, round anything in between calculations until we're ready to write down here monetary equivalent for interest payment. Then we have to leave 2 decimal places. That's nearest cent. And everywhere here we will round to 2 decimal places. Now, so let's again remember what we started here with, or Deshaun started with. He borrowed $19,000 to pay for his minivan, and he can pay this minivan, or he plans to pay the minivan loan in 6 years. So the interest is 6.5% annual. So he agreed to pay $319.39 every month. So let's see how we can find the interest. The interest is what we pay to the bank for using their money. So the bank loaned you money, $19,000. So it's not free. You have to pay fee on this money, which we call interest. So in this case, if we look at the situation here in this problem, so we need to understand how payment works. So your payment, or the chance payment, so this is payment, monthly payment, will be split into two parts. One part will pay for interest, which again, the fee we pay to the bank who loan the money. And then you pay principal, which is we're paying towards our purchase. So remember that Deshaun paid $19,000 for the van. So when you go to dealership to buy a car or a van, you have to pay that amount right there, which means you borrowed money from the bank, that's your loan, and dealership get the $19,000 right then. Now, principal will go straight to cover $19,000. So the $19,000 should be decreasing with each monthly payment, but it's not like you subtract the monthly payment that the Sean agreed to pay, which is $319.39. No, we will see, because this 300 monthly payment, $319.39 will be split into two portions. That's what it is. So not all $319.39 will go towards payment. That would be good. But part of this goes technically pay for the bank. Interest we will calculate based on the formula we call simple interest, which is principal, the initial amount, rate converted into decimal, and time. For the simple interest formula, the time usually in years, but since we have interest, annual interest here, the problem, and we pay monthly payment, not once a year. We pay monthly. We pay every month, and we have 12 months. We divide this interest. That's important to see. We divide this by 12. So let's look again at the question. So monthly payment for this loan. So since it's monthly payment, and also they remind you here, assume that each month is 1/12 of year. That's where it comes. So now we're going to calculate this by substituting the P. Principal is the initial amount of the loan, which is 19,000, basic interest. So let's go ahead and plug in here interest, and the interest, I remind you, here is 6.5%, which is in decimal notation 0.65. Now, since we're paying every month and it's a year, so T is 1, and we multiply by 1/12 or simply divide by 12. So when you use your calculator here, you can do it. So you're going to have $19,000 times 0.065, enter, and then you divide by 12, because multiplying by 1/12 is like dividing by 12. So your interest the first month, it will change actually, will be $102.92, because it's 6 here. We need to add 1. So it will be $102 and 92 cents. So that's what we need to enter over here. Now, principal payment, the total amount you pay is $319.39. So part of this, only $102.92 from this amount is going towards interest. The rest will be principal payment. So you have to separate $319.39 and the interest. Everything else goes towards your principal. So if you subtract these two numbers, you get $10.47. That's how much money you pay for actual pen. So now instead of $19,000, you owe new balance $19,000 for $216.47. So you get $18,783.53. Let's copy this number. So this is like new balance, like instead of 19,000, you have this amount, which is a little bit smaller. That means that the interest will be smaller. So the second time when you need to calculate for the second payment your interest, the interest will be will use balance not 19,000, but $18,783, and it's important to keep all the cents. So instead of that, you will use this new uh, kind of new balance. That's your principal for the formula. P is for the principal. The rate will remain the same, and their factor here will be 1/12. So let's go ahead and calculate what will be this, and that will be 18783.50 multiplied by 0.065. And you see it's already a little bit smaller than we had, $15 left. Divided by 12. So now our interest a little bit smaller. If you compare the previous month's interest was $102.90. Now it's $101.74. So we paid a little bit uh, less for this loan and 70 cents. Let me double check that we had this number correctly. Now you notice that we don't add 1 to this 4 because their following digit is less than 5. So we don't add 1. Now, what will be the principal? What will be the principal? You can pause for a minute and calculate your principal, like I've done over here um, in the explanation. Well, I hope you calculate the principal. Now we have to calculate the principal payment. What will be the principal payment? So part of the payment from $319.39 will be going to pay for the interest. So the rest is $3,939. That's what we pay for the principal payment. So let's see what it is. $319.39 subtract 101.74. That will be 217. Previous months, as you can see, we paid 217.65. So our principal payment grows, and that means that we started paying loan faster. So let me enter this number 217.65. Now, what is new balance? How this balance came? You subtract 217.65 from 18,783.50. So from 18,783.53, you subtract 217.65, and what you get. So calculate this on your calculator. You need a calculator for this part, and you get 18565.88. Let's see what the example gives us. The example provides the same number that confirms that our calculations are correct. I like that idea. Now, the payment number 21. So your new balance, that's your principal, 14,440. So you paid the month 21. So almost 2 years you've been paying for this band, and you reduce the loan balance to 14,140.35. So what will be the interest? We use this formula, and the principal now will be 14,000. Let's see what is here. 440.35, 440.35. Everything else remains the same. Let's calculate the interest. And for that, we will multiply 1,440 point. We need to be very careful and enter everything to the cent because otherwise it won't work. So you see 14,440.35 cents. So we need to enter 35 cents. Multiply by 0.065 and divide by 12. So your interest now, instead of the over $100 like we paid, $78.22. Again, the third digit is 8, so we added 1. $78.22. So interest payment will be, let's check our calculator, 20%. And you see the interest payment reducing because the principal is shrinking. So in our principal payment, we subtract 78.22 from 39. What will it be? 319.39 subtract 78.22. So that will be we're paying more and more towards our loan. So that's a good thing, but we want to pay it fast. We pay $241. At the beginning, we paid just 260. Now we're paying 241 and 17 cents. Now, what new balance here? So new balance, we subtract this number from here. So 14,440 and 35 cents subtract 241.17. This 241.17, you remember it's our payment towards principal. So now we're going to write down here this new balance at the end of the month 21. So make sure you copy the digits correctly and check your answer, correct answer. Yes, it is tedious, it takes time and a lot of attention. Please make sure that you watch this video maybe more than once. And again, the problem that we worked on here, if you're interested to look again and see what is the problem. Thank you for your time. Have a good